This video is powered by the pros at Pascal Air Plumbing and Electric. Arkansas owned, Arkansas operated. GoPascal.com.
Can you tell me the one or two newcomers, I guess newcomers / freshmen who have made the biggest impact thus far in your eyes?
Well, I think the two newcomers that have made the biggest impact so far are Christina Foreman and Kylie Halverson, are transfers from Duke and South Dakota State. We are expecting them to step right on the field, and they've elevated our program. So I would say those two first and foremost. And then we've seen, our freshman class is very talented. They're young. We're very young, but they're talented. And so I would say, especially with our young pitching, we have 3 freshman pitchers. I think that was kind of the question mark for me going into the fall, is what are they going to look like? And they have been very impressive this fall so far. And so I would go to them next. So it's good. This team is very different than the team we had last year and teams we've had in the past. We have a lot of talent. They are highly, highly competitive. And so right now it's just getting them to, focus on the little things every day that add up to big things. I think that's the biggest lesson you always have to kind of go through with a young team.
I was going to ask, what positions will those transfers play, and those pitchers you were talking about? Is Heron one of those? Yeah. So who are those pitchers, freshmen, that you were specifically talking about?
Well, we have 5 pitchers on staff, and we're going to use all 5. Shanice is going to be the anchor. It's not going to be surprising to anyone on this call or anyone in the country. She's going to anchor our staff. But we've seen Callie Turner look really, really good this fall. Robin Heron's a freshman. Hannah Kamenzen is a freshman, and Nikki McGaffin's a freshman. And the thing that I really love about the staff is that they're all very different. They're all very, very different. And what they do, what their bread and butter is, they do really well. And so we've seen that be very effective against our offense. And so I am looking forward to facing another team this weekend. We'll see how a lot of those things that we've been working on so far, how those are going to actually play with another opponent. But I think that they've done really well thus far. And our staff's really different. We have 3 lefties and 2 righties, which is not typical, but has been kind of a good balance.
And what position will those newcomers you mentioned in particular, what will they play? What position will they play?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure yet.
Okay.
We're still trying to find, just this weekend playing 4 games, you're going to see a lot of different combinations.
That's fair.
I don't know exactly where everyone's going to fall, where they're going to land. I'm not sure the exact way to put the puzzle together yet. I just know we have really good pieces.
And the last thing I'll throw out there and let somebody else go is, what's the chance that Hannah Campbell gets to catch some?
Very high.
Okay. Very likely.
Very likely. Very likely. She is exceptional back there. We've all really enjoyed watching her play third the last couple of years. And so when people hear that, oh, we're going to move her behind the plate, I think they think we're crazy. She is an exceptional catcher. And so right now, I don't see how we don't do that.
Okay.
So she will most likely start back there for us.
Okay. I'll let somebody else go. Thank you, Courtney. I appreciate it.
Yeah, of course.
Christina?
Hi, Coach. I just wondered what questions you have that you hope to have answered in these preseason games. I know you've had some inter-squad games already and have gotten to see this team work together a little bit, but how do these, preseason games against other opponents help you?
Well, kind of the nice thing is that we're playing La Tech 3 times. And some coaches would probably not like that. I love it because we actually get to see what all of our different players look against the same team. So it's kind of like an even measure. So I want to see how our new infielders work together. I want to see our competitive energy that we have been like pushing them to find on a daily basis, that it's harder to find in a practice setting than against an opponent. So I want to see that. And then I want to see how our offense lines up. Our offense is going to look different this year. I don't know that we're going to drive the ball out of the park at the rate that we have in the past, but we have a lot of different layers to it. And so it's just going to play differently. And so I'm really curious to see how that competes this weekend. And next Wednesday against Seminole. So I don't know. I have a lot more questions of what I want to see, things I want to see this fall than typical, because we have more depth than we've ever had. We have more in the conversation to start than we've ever had. And so I just want to see how they all kind of play together and how they blend.
Yeah, you touched a little bit on another question I had, which was, last season you were known for heavy hitting and everything, and just, it might be too early to tell, but how do you see maybe this team's identity changing a little bit with all these new people?
I don't know. Good question. I think that's what fall's built for, is to find the identity of this team. This team is very different. We've been talking about that a lot in the last couple of weeks of, we haven't proven anything yet. This team hasn't done anything. So we have to show up and compete our tails off every time we have the opportunity to. I don't know. We're going to have more speed than we've had. We're going to be a better defensive team than we've had. And we've been a solid defensive team. This defense they can pick it. And we're going to utilize the staff more. I think we've always gone into years thinking we're going to utilize a staff, and then we have one pitcher emerge or a tandem two emerge. We are going to use our whole staff. And so I just think that, I don't know. I just think that this depth, it's going to force us to do things we haven't done in the past. We don't typically change our lineup a ton. You're going to see more in a lineup than you ever have. They forced us out of that comfort zone a little bit, or that philosophy that we've typically had. But yeah, I think that the big question is, and that we've faced, is how are we going to replace that offense? But we faced that same question the year before. And so what we do is develop offense, and we're going to develop our offense. And so that's not going to be any different. It's just going to look a little different. It's going to have a lot more layers. It's going to have a lot more moving pieces. And that excites me.
And then last thing for me, just for you as a coach, what challenges does having a young team like this and a lot of freshmen present?
Well, every team has a different challenge. So I will say that every fall we're sitting in this same exact space we're sitting right now, kind of figuring out the new identity of a team, how to push those buttons, how to get more out of them every day. Right now, our biggest challenge is getting them to understand the little things, the little things on a daily basis in a practice setting. We have had teams in the past where we really had to teach them how to compete and push them to compete. We don't have to do that with this group, but they do need to understand those little things. And I feel like that's where our program has progressed, is that when you get to focus on those little things, it's nice to not have to focus on the big things of competing and a lot of technical things. We don't have to do that. And so that's the challenge right now, is they play with this looseness and this confidence that we love. I mean, this team is really connected. This team has a looseness and competitiveness, but it's like, hey, when you didn't field that ball cleanly, it led to 2 runs, like that one thing, when you threw to the wrong base, getting, those little things, or, that's not a little thing. That was a terrible example, actually. But you know what I mean? Of just kind of like, just like those little details that sometimes you can kind of overlook in a practice setting every day.
Porter?
I was going to talk about, with so many new faces, how has the leadership been with Shanice and Gamble, really having to step up and be the vocal point of the team? I mean, what have you seen early out of them?
I've seen them do exactly that. I've seen them have like step up and want more for the players around them. And so it's not necessarily in Shanice's nature. It's more in Hannah Gamel's nature. And so just kind of seeing Shanice gravitate into that role, or kind of like feel that role, like, and embrace it, is huge. It's huge for our team. And I think that they've really stepped up. I think that they're constantly looking for new ways to lead, kind of getting themselves a little out of their comfort zone. But more than anything, they just want more for this team and the players around them. And so it's kind of forcing them to take that on. And it's been great.
So at this point in your coaching career, you seem like, you've watched Danielle and Malcolm and everybody you've kind of graduated last year. You feel like now you've kind of reset to a new wave into your program of now you're rebuilding a new group of athletes coming to Arkansas.
Yeah. I think, yeah, I do. I think that it's a really exciting time. More than anything, I think that we have each year, I think we're getting kind of a higher caliber. And when I say that, I don't, it's not anything against like our previous classes. Our previous classes have been the kids that kind of slip through the cracks, that have a chip on their shoulder, and absolutely changed our program. And so now we're getting into different conversations because of what they've done. And so more than anything, I just think it's a really exciting time.
And I'll end on this with your contract extension and stuff. And with you recruiting at the level you are, how imperative was it to go into these kids' homes and saying, hey, I'm going to be here for the next 10 years? Is that an important selling point when you're trying to build these top ranked classes?
Well, I hope so. I hope that they want to come and play for me. I think it's really nice when you're going into this 24 class saying, hey, I'm going to be here through your entire career. Not just like, I'm going to be here when you start. I'm going to be here through your senior year. I'm committed to this place. I love this place. And more than anything, I think it shows that how much we love it here, and then how much Arkansas has invested in softball and how important they think it is. I think it's a huge statement both ways. And so, yeah, we've absolutely used that. And I think it's reassuring not only to the recruits, but the recruits' parents when they're sending their daughters to come play for us, that we're committed to being here through their entire time.
That's all I got for now.
Dudley?
Hey, Coach, appreciate you doing this. Obviously, practicing against each other and scrimmaging against each other can get monotonous. Can you tell they're excited about getting to see some new faces this weekend? Yeah,
they very, very much are. I think our pitchers are tired of facing our hitters, and our hitters are tired of facing our pitchers. So it's really nice to have a couple new opponents coming in this weekend. Absolutely.
And also the atmosphere was fantastic at the end of last year. Just talk about that a little bit more, and how that may be more typical as you go along here, during the regular season and not just during the postseason.
Yeah, I mean, I hope it's more typical as we move along. Our fans are the best in the country. I would put them up against any fans anywhere in the country, and it creates an electric atmosphere. I think where we've really excelled, especially in SEC series and postseason. You see that creeping in earlier each year, even to where at our fall games, intersquads, where we have hundreds in the stands. And that wasn't the case in the early years. We were trying to get that in our regular season games. And now they're finding us a lot sooner. And so we've seen it already in the fall, and I'm hoping we see it right out of the gates in February. These players have won over these fans, and I think they're just really, really excited about Arkansas softball. And so, yeah, I'm expecting that to. All
right, appreciate it.
Yep.
Appreciate it. Did you enjoy Jimmy Buffett?
Oh yeah, always. Who doesn't enjoy Jimmy Buffett?
Eric?
Coach, I'm always fascinated as you plan out the fall, do you have a process of, hey, I want this team to be at a certain spot by this date? And how much the scheduling in the fall play into that? Take us through the philosophy that you have as getting this team ready in the fall.
No, I don't have a specific date or a specific goal. And it probably doesn't surprise you. It's really just how we schedule our fall of having the time at the beginning with individuals, and then getting the team around each other, and then competing against each other a good amount of time, and then getting to test that against outside competition. And so it's more so that those different steps of just kind of getting them really comfortable competing, getting them comfortable competing against each other, and then getting to kind of test that. And so that's more than anything, I mean, how we kind of set it out. I'm really looking forward to having a complete lineup and not having to see them in two different dugouts. And so, I want to see that of getting our best out there, getting our best in a lineup together. And so that's the only thing that we've done by design.
Ironically, I just spoke to Josh Taylor for the podcast, and of course, he's got the two assistants, or got Arkansas ties that you know very well.
Yeah.
And he talked about how this weekend is like a benchmark to see where his team is at right now and what they need to work on in the fall, and plus for his new players to get that experience of playing at a place like Bogle. What does it mean to play a team like a Division I team as good as La Tech, and for your players, especially the newcomers?
Oh, well, it's huge. Well, first and foremost, we're huge Josh Taylor fans as a coach and as a human. And then obviously his staff, he's put tremendous people around him, Razorback alums. But, I also have to say what a huge job they did last year in taking over that program. And we did this in the fall last year, and it was such great competition in the fall, but then to see what they did with their team from the fall to winning their conference was tremendous. And I think that I'm not sure that they've gotten enough credit for that. I think that they do an incredible job. And so we know that we're going to get a very well coached, very well prepared team in the fall. But also someone that we just have a ton of respect for. And so we can kind of work different things and try different things with. And so, yeah, it's very calculated to have them come in. I think we both benefit greatly from it, of just getting a really good challenge in the fall.
For the newcomers especially, how important do you want them to experience the environment on campus? Not only the success within your program, but with the other programs. It's been well documented how close you are as coaching staffs. Volleyball's having a great season. Kobe Hale, who I've known since he was an associate at UCF, is having another great year at soccer. Yeah. Obviously, Coach Pittman at football, basketball, so on, so on. How much do you talk to your players about that, to experience all that and that culture that you've built over there as an athletic department?
Well, I think it's huge. I mean, first and foremost, when you're we call it a campus of champions. So you can kind of use that if you want. But you don't want to be the team that doesn't get it done. And so you have a good amount of not competition, but just pushing each other, because that everyone else is just so good. And so, yeah, I think that's big. I think for us, it's really big to have that balance in the fall. So they have that time to go do football, go do volleyball, really connect with the other teams, go support the other teams, because that's what we want from them. And so it's just making sure that you're giving. And so that you want them to come support you in the spring when we're playing. So you can learn so much. Our coaching, our department and our coaches are incredible. And so just how much we can bounce ideas off of each other, how much we can support each other, how we can really make each other better is huge. And so that definitely feeds off into our teams to go support each other and learn from each other as well.
Obviously, the conference schedule came out. It's a tough schedule. It's the SEC. It's what you expect in the SEC. You're also going to be playing in Clearwater this season. What does that mean to be playing part of that marquee tournament as well?
Well, it's exciting. It's going to be a really huge test right from the jump. I mean, we're opening up in UNLV, and we have a really great lineup out there as well. So it's going to be good. It's going to be a good test. We did that by design. We haven't gone there yet. They finally wore me down. But it's such a huge tournament. early in the year with the exposure and for us knowing how young our team is, we wanted to get out there and compete against the best and see where we stacked up, what we need to do early in the year. So it'll be exciting. This is, obviously a really tough year too in the SEC. They all are. It just keeps getting tougher and tougher. So it'll be a really fun and exciting spring for this group.
And then my last question, obviously you've added Reyna to the staff. I was wondering, what did she bring to the table, and your philosophy as far as bringing into coaches? I spoke to Jordan Clark, who's now the FAU head coach, and she gives a lot of credit to you because when you brought her in, you gave her a lot of responsibilities and she learned a lot from you. Just take me through that philosophy when you bring somebody into your staff.
Well, we're very picky about who we add to our staff first. And I'm really, really excited to see what Jordan does at FAU. I think that she's one of the brilliant minds in softball and just has this charisma that's going to take off. So I'm really excited for her. I don't understand the point in bringing in a coach and not giving them responsibility. So you brought them there for a reason. So it's just getting them, fully ingrained in our system, but also finding ways that we can make our system better. And so we like to add new perspectives. Reyna, we wanted her to come in and absolutely take over our short game, our slappers. She was a tremendous softball player at Arizona. We got to see it firsthand. And so, getting her to take over the slapping and add a perspective from a different way of doing things and a younger perspective. We're all getting a little older. So just kind of adding that layer too, of just connecting with the players, and she's done everything that we thought she would and more. She's been a huge addition to our staff, and our team has just taken to her almost immediately. So it's been great.
Do you seek out people's opinions on certain people to bring in, or do they come to you and say, hey, I'm interested in joining your staff? How does that work when because I'm sure now, especially with the success you've had, you got people constantly knocking on your door?
Oh, well, I wish that was the case. I don't know. Well, with this one in particular, we really wanted something specific. So we wanted someone younger. We wanted someone that's going to come in and do the slapping piece. That was number one for us. And so we all have our network. And then we lean on our network for things like this. And so there was a few that I was just talking to regularly, picking their brains of anybody that they would recommend for it. Caitlin Lowe is definitely one of them at Arizona. I have a ton of respect for the Arizona program. Caitlin Lowe as a coach, as a player. Lauren Lappin is a very good family friend of ours. Stacey Newthman at San Diego State. It's kind of like a little circle that we have. And so Reyna actually took the year off after graduating. She was doing lessons, and then she kind of randomly popped up saying, hey, I want a GA, and talked to that group. That group knew we were looking for something that exactly what Reyna filled. And so it actually happened pretty quickly. We were really excited. So we have our people that we lean on, that we trust a ton, and that's how it kind of happened with Reyna.
Football is back, and BetOnline remains your number one source for all your football betting needs this season. You'll find the latest odds, matchup info, player news, and game trends. And as your continued source for all sports wagering info, BetOnline features live betting, free contests, live scores, and giveaways all season long. Always the fastest and easiest way to bet on all your favorite sports and events like MLB, MMA, tennis, boxing, and even golf. Head to betonline.ag to join and receive your 100% welcome bonus with your first deposit. Make sure to use the promo code BELIEVE to receive your rewards. That's BLEAV. Bet online, where the game starts.